You wake up, and it's like someone forgot to hit the reset button on your soul. Your eyes are open, but your body feels like it's still stuck in yesterday's grind. The alarm blares, and before you even swing your legs out of bed, your phone's already buzzing. Notifications pile up like unopened bills on a kitchen counter. Emails from work, a text from your friend asking why you bailed on drinks last night, an app reminding you that you haven't meditated in 17 days. And deep down you're thinking, I haven't even had coffee yet, and I'm already failing. You drag yourself to the mirror, splash water on your face, and try to summon the energy to fake it through another day. You've got meetings, deadlines, a gym session you swore you'd hit, and that side hustle you started because everyone on TikTok says you're wasting your potential if you're not monetizing your hobbies. But let's be real, every step feels like wading through molasses. Your chest is tight, your mind's racing, and you can't shake this nagging thought. Why am I so tired? Why does everything feel so heavy? If this sounds like you, I need you to hear this right now. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not just stressed. You're caught in a machine, a slick, shiny 21st century hustle machine that's designed to keep you running until you burn out. And the worst part? It's tricked you into thinking you're the one driving it. This isn't just about you being overworked or needing a vacation. This is about a system that's rewired your brain to believe that your worth is tied to how much you produce, how many likes you get, how many boxes you check off your to-do list. It's a system that's turned your life into a performance where every moment has to be optimized, every choice has to be strategic, and every pause feels like a crime. And if you're sitting there, nodding your head, feeling like I just read your diary, then stick with me, because we're about to unpack this mess together. This video isn't going to give you a 5-step plan to hack your productivity or tell you to download another app to track your sleep. This is about waking up to the truth. Your exhaustion isn't a personal failure. It's a symptom of a world that's turned ambition into a trap. We're going to dive deep into why you feel like you're drowning in your own life, pull in some big ideas from thinkers like Byung-Chul Han and Hannah Arendt, and, most importantly, figure out how to start clawing your way out of this hustle machine. So grab a coffee, take a deep breath, and let's talk about why you're not broken. You're just trying to survive in a system that's rigged against you.
Let's start with a story. A few years ago, I had a friend named Sarah. Sarah was the kind of person who seemed to have it all together. She was 28, climbing the corporate ladder at a tech startup, posting gym selfies at 6 a.m. and running a side hustle selling handmade candles on Etsy. Her Instagram was a highlight reel of #BossBabeEnergy, green smoothies, vision boards, and captions like "Rise and grind." But one night, over a glass of wine, she cracked. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I'm so tired. I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, but I feel like I'm disappearing." Sarah's story isn't unique. It's the story of millions of us, maybe even you. You're doing all the right things, working hard, staying connected, chasing your goals, but instead of feeling fulfilled, you feel empty. Why? Because you're not just living your life, you're performing it. And the stage you're on, it's called the hustle machine. The hustle machine is the invisible system that runs our modern world. It's the voice in your head that says you're not doing enough, the app that tracks your steps and shames you for missing 10,000, the coworker who brags about pulling an all-nighter to finish a project. It's the culture that glorifies hustle and demonizes laziness, that tells you to seize the day while quietly judging you for taking a nap. And it's not new, it's just gotten sneakier over time. Back in the day, power was loud. Think of old school factories with bosses barking orders, or schools where teachers ruled with a ruler, literally. Philosopher Michel Foucault called this the disciplinary society. It was all about control through rules, schedules, and punishment. You knew who was in charge, and you knew what happened if you stepped out of line. But somewhere along the way, that system evolved. The bars of the prison got replaced with something far more subtle and far more effective. Enter the performance society, a term coined by philosopher Byung-Chul Han. In this new world, nobody's yelling at you to work harder. Instead, they're cheering you on, telling you, "You got this, you can be anything, the sky is the limit." Sounds empowering, right? But here's the catch. When everything's up to you, every failure feels like your fault. If you're not rich, famous, or shredded by 30, it's because you didn't hustle hard enough. The hustle machine doesn't need a whip. It's got your own guilt to keep you in line.
Let's break this down with a simple example. Imagine you're at a coffee shop trying to enjoy a latte. Your phone buzzes with a work email. You ignore it, but now you're anxious. What if it's urgent? What if I look lazy for not responding? So you answer it even though it's Saturday. Then you check Instagram, see your friends post about their promotion, and suddenly your latte tastes like failure. You open your to-do list app, add update resume to it, and before you know it, your coffee's cold and you're spiraling. That's the hustle machine at work. It's not just about work, it's about turning every moment of your life into a performance. To understand why this hustle machine is so exhausting, let's bring in Byung-Chul Han, a Korean-German philosopher who's been sounding the alarm on what he calls the Burnout society. Han's big idea is that we've traded one kind of oppression for another. In the old days, oppression came from outside. Think of a boss telling you you can't leave until the report's done. Today, it comes from inside. You're the one telling yourself, "I can't rest until I'm successful." Han says we live in a world of excess positivity. That sounds nice, right? Who doesn't want positivity? But here's what he means. Our society bombards us with messages like, "You can do anything, follow your passion, be your best self." These aren't just slogans, they're commands. They're telling you that if you're not constantly improving, achieving, or smiling, you're doing life wrong. And when you can't keep up, you don't blame the system, you blame yourself. Let's make this concrete with a story. My cousin Mike used to be a teacher. He loved his job, helping kids learn, cracking cheesy jokes in class. But a few years ago, his school started rolling out performance metrics. Suddenly, he wasn't just teaching. He was tracking data, attending professional development webinars, and posting engaging content on the school's social media. He told me, "I feel like I'm not a teacher anymore. I'm a content creator, a data analyst, and a motivational speaker, all at once." Mike quit last year. Not because he hated teaching, but because he couldn't keep up with the hustle machine's demands. Han would say Mike's story is a perfect example of how the burnout society works. It doesn't just demand your time, it demands your entire self. You're not just a worker, you're an entrepreneur of yourself. You're supposed to market yourself, optimize yourself, reinvent yourself, all while pretending it's fun. And when you can't, you crash hard. But Han's not the only one who saw this coming. Let's bring in another thinker, Hannah Arendt, who wrote about what it means to be human in a world obsessed with productivity. In her book, The Human Condition, Arendt talks about the difference between labor, work, and action. Labor is the stuff we do to survive, like eating or paying bills. Work is creating something lasting, like building a house or writing a book. Action is the messy, beautiful stuff of being human, connecting with others, sharing ideas, living authentically. Arendt warned that modern society was starting to reduce everything to labor. We're so focused on surviving, on grinding, hustling, checking boxes, that we're losing sight of work and action. Think about it. When was the last time you did something just for the joy of it? Not because it looked good on your resume or got you likes. For me, it was months ago when I spent an afternoon doodling in a notebook. No agenda, no goal. It felt weird, like I was breaking some unspoken rule. That's the hustle machine talking. Here's a quick story to bring Arendt's idea to life. My neighbor, Mrs. Rosa, is 72 and retired. She spends her days gardening, chatting with neighbors, and baking cookies for the kids on our street. She's not productive by hustle standards. She's not launching a startup or building a personal brand, but she's the happiest person I know. Why? Because her life is full of action, connection, meaning, presence. She's not trapped in the labor of survival or the hustle of self-optimization. She's just living. Han and Arendt both point to the same truth. The hustle machine is stealing something precious from us. It's not just our time or energy, it's our humanity. It's turning us into cogs in a system that doesn't care if we burn out, as long as we keep producing until we do. So, what does it feel like to be trapped in the hustle machine? Let's get real for a second. It's that knot in your stomach when you open your inbox and see 47 unread emails. It's the guilt you feel when you watch Netflix instead of working on your side hustle. It's the way your heart races when you see someone your age killing it on LinkedIn. It's the exhaustion that lingers even after a full night's sleep. The anxiety that creeps in when you're just relaxing. The voice in your head that whispers, "You're not enough."
These aren't just feelings, they're symptoms. Han calls them the psychic diseases of the burnout society. Depression, anxiety, ADHD, burnout. They're not just personal problems, they're social ones. They're what happens when you're pushed to live at a pace that's not human, in a system that doesn't value your humanity. Let's talk about burnout specifically, because it's the poster child of the hustle machine. Burnout isn't just being tired. It's not something a yoga class or a bubble bath can fix. It's a deep, existential exhaustion that comes from giving everything you have to a system that always wants more. It's the moment when you realize you've been running on fumes for so long, you don't even remember what full feels like. I saw this firsthand with my friend Jamal, a graphic designer. Jamal was a creative genius, always sketching, always dreaming up new ideas, but his job at an ad agency turned him into a machine. He was churning out designs on tight deadlines, revising them endlessly based on client feedback and staying late to prove his commitment. One day he called me in a panic. "I can't draw anymore," he said. "I sit at my desk and it's like my brain's frozen. I don't even know what I like anymore." Jamal wasn't just tired, he was burned out. His passion had been wrung dry by the hustle machine. Han says burnout happens because we've internalized the hustle machine's demands. We've become our own taskmasters, pushing ourselves harder than any boss ever could. And the kicker? We do it willingly, because we've been sold the lie that this is freedom. We think we're choosing to hustle, to optimize, to grind, but are we really choosing? Or are we just following the script the system wrote for us? Here's where another philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, comes in. Nietzsche talked about the will to power, the drive to create, to overcome, to become more. Sounds like hustle culture, right? But Nietzsche's version wasn't about chasing external goals like money or status. It was about finding your own path, your own meaning, even if it meant saying no to what everyone else was chasing. In his book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he writes about the overman, someone who creates their own values instead of blindly following the herd. Think about that for a second. The hustle machine wants you to be a follower, chasing the same goals as everyone else: more money, more followers, more success. But Nietzsche would say true power comes from stepping off that treadmill and asking, what do I actually want?
What makes me feel alive? For my friend Jamal, it was quitting his agency job and starting to paint again. Not for clients, but for himself. It wasn't easy. He took a pay cut, moved to a cheaper apartment, but he told me, for the first time in years, I feel like I'm breathing.
Let's pause and take stock. The hustle machine isn't just making you tired, it's costing you something deeper. It's costing you your ability to be present, to feel joy, to know yourself. It's turning your life into a checklist where every moment has to be productive or it doesn't count. Think about the last time you did something for no reason at all. Maybe it was staring out a window, listening to a song that gave you chills, or laughing with a friend until your sides hurt. Those moments are rare now, aren't they? Because the hustle machine has convinced you that doing nothing is a sin. Even your hobbies have to have a purpose. Your knitting has to be an Etsy shop. Your journaling has to be a blog. Your workouts have to be Instagram-worthy. This obsession with productivity is killing your inner world. Han calls it the loss of contemplation. Contemplation isn't just sitting cross-legged on a mountain, it's the ability to be still, to let your mind wander, to connect with something bigger than your to-do list. It's what happens when you're not performing, not optimizing, just being. Here's a story to illustrate this. When I was a kid, my grandpa used to sit on his porch every evening, smoking a pipe and watching the sunset. He wasn't scrolling his phone or planning his next move, he was just there, taking it all in. I'd ask him, "What are you thinking about?" And he'd smile and say, "Not much, kid, just enjoying the world." As a kid, I thought that was boring. Now, I think it was profound. My grandpa had something we've lost, the ability to exist without needing to justify it. Han says this loss of contemplation is why we're so anxious, so disconnected, so burned out. We're so busy chasing the next thing, we've forgotten how to be here now. And that's not just a personal loss, it's a cultural one. We're building a world where nobody has time to think, to feel, to dream. And without those things, what's left? Let's bring in another thinker here, Walter Benjamin. In his Arcades project, Benjamin wrote about how modern life fragments our attention. He was talking about 19th century Paris with its bustling streets and shiny shop windows, but it sounds eerily like today. We're bombarded with stimuli, ads, notifications, trends that keep us distracted, always chasing the next shiny thing. Benjamin warned that this constant distraction makes it harder to experience life deeply, to find meaning in the everyday. Think about your own life. How often do you sit down to eat a meal without your phone? How often do you walk outside without earbuds? How often do you let yourself feel bored without reaching for a distraction? If you're like me, the answer is not often. And that's by design. The hustle machine thrives on keeping you distracted because a distracted mind is easier to control. So, how do we get out of this mess? How do we escape the hustle machine without quitting our jobs, moving to a cabin in the woods, or swearing off technology forever? The answer isn't a quick fix, it's a shift in how you see yourself and your life. And it starts with a radical idea. You don't have to do it all. Let's go back to Byung-Chul Han for a moment. Han talks about the power of not doing. In a world that demands constant action, saying no is revolutionary. Saying, "I'm not going to answer that email right now," or "I'm not going to take on that extra project," or "I'm not going to feel guilty for resting," is an act of rebellion. It's you reclaiming your time,
your energy, your humanity. This idea of not doing isn't new. It's rooted in ancient philosophies like Taoism, which teaches that sometimes the most powerful action is inaction. Think of a river carving a canyon, not by forcing its way through, but by flowing patiently over time. You don't have to fight the hustle machine head-on. You can start by stepping back, slowing down, letting go. Here's a practical example. A few months ago, I was drowning in work. My inbox was a war zone, my calendar was booked solid, and I was snapping at everyone around me. One day, I hit a wall. I couldn't focus, couldn't think, couldn't even enjoy my favorite show. So I did something radical. I turned off my phone, grabbed a notebook, and went to a park. I didn't set a goal or a timer. I just sat there, watching the trees, scribbling random thoughts. At first, it felt weird, like I was wasting time. But after an hour, I felt lighter, like I'd remembered how to breathe. That's the power of not doing. It's not about being lazy. It's about giving yourself permission to exist without performing. And it's not just a one-time thing. It's a practice, a way of life. Here are a few ways to start.
Embrace boredom. Next time you're tempted to scroll your phone, don't. Let yourself be bored. Stare out a window. Doodle on a napkin. Let your mind wander. Boredom is where creativity and clarity are born. Set boundaries. Say no to things that don't light you up. Turn off notifications after 6 p.m. Protect your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Redefine success. Ask yourself, what does a good life look like to me? Not to your boss, your followers, or your high school frenemy, to you. Maybe it's less money, but more time with your kids. Maybe it's quitting your job to start a bakery. Maybe it's just having the energy to laugh again. Find small moments of presence. You don't need a week-long retreat to reconnect with yourself. Start with 5 minutes a day. Drink your coffee without your phone. Take a walk and notice the sounds around you. Write down one thing you're grateful for. These aren't big, flashy changes. They're quiet, intentional ones, and they add up. Over time, you'll start to feel less like a cog in the hustle machine and more like you. Let's bring in one more philosopher here, Elaine Ehrenberg, who wrote about the weariness of the self. Ehrenberg says modern life makes us feel responsible for everything, our success, our happiness, our health. It's exhausting. His advice? Stop trying to be perfect. Accept your limits. Embrace your humanity, flaws, and all. I saw this in action with my friend Sarah, the one I mentioned earlier. After her burnout, she made some changes. She quit her startup job and took a lower-paying role at a non-profit. She deleted Instagram for 6 months. She started taking walks every evening, no phone, just her and the sunset. Last time we talked, she said, "I'm not where I thought I'd be at 30, but I'm happier than I have ever been. I feel like me again."
Before we wrap up, let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just about you or me or Sarah or Jamal. This is about the world we're building. The hustle machine isn't just burning us out, it's shaping a society where nobody has time to think, to question, to dream. And that's dangerous. Think about it. When you're too tired to think critically, you're easier to manipulate. When you're too busy to connect with others, you're easier to isolate. When you're too burned out to care, you're less likely to stand up for what's right. The hustle machine isn't just a personal problem, it's a political one. It's keeping us distracted while the world burns.
Hannah Arendt warned about this in The Human Condition. She said, "A society obsessed with labor and consumption risks losing its soul." We're so busy surviving, we're forgetting how to live. And Byung-Chul Han echoes this, saying that the burnout society is a society without negativity, meaning we've lost the ability to say no, to resist, to imagine something different. But here's the good news. You can start saying no. You can start resisting. You can start imagining a different way to live. And when you do, you're not just saving yourself, you're helping build a world where people are valued for who they are, not what they produce. So, where does this leave us? If you're feeling crushed by the hustle machine, if you're tired of performing your life instead of living it, if you're ready to step off the treadmill, here's the truth you need to hear. You are enough. Right now, as you are, with all your flaws and fears and unfinished to-do lists, you don't have to earn your worth. You don't have to prove your value. You are enough because you exist. This video isn't about giving you a magic fix, it's about giving you permission. Permission to slow down, to say no, to be human. It's about waking up to the hustle machine and choosing, even in small ways, to live differently. So, here's my challenge to you. Try one act of not doing this week. Maybe it's leaving your phone at home for an hour. Maybe it's skipping a meeting you don't need to attend. Maybe it's sitting on your couch and letting yourself feel whatever you're feeling, no judgment. Whatever it is, let it be a reminder that you're more than a cog in the machine. You're a person with a heart and a soul and a life worth living. And if this resonated with you, if it hit a nerve or sparked something inside, I want to hear from you.
Drop a comment below. Tell me what the hustle machine's taken from you or what you're doing to fight back. Because when we share our stories, we remind each other that we're not alone, and that's where the real change begins. Before you go, hit that subscribe button if you want more videos like this. Deep dives into the systems that shape our lives, with real talk and no fluff. And check out the next video in the playlist. It's about finding meaning in a world that's trying to sell you empty dreams. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for sticking with me. You're not broken. You're just waking up, and that's the first step to breaking free.